Welcome to episode 9 of HashBangTV, brought to you by AlphaPunk, the awesome design collective. You can follow them on Twitter at @TheAlphaPunk.
So this week's show, we keep delivering. We've got Russ and Gary from Hailo Cabs. If anyone's used taxis in London, you might already be very familiar with the application. And these guys have raised $17 million on their A round, which is like the largest European A round in recent history. So beat that.
Yeah,
so stay tuned for that one.
It's the most fantastic app ever.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, delighted to say that we're joined by Russ and Gary from Hailo Cab. So welcome to HashBangTV.
Hi guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Good.
So tell us about your background. How did you end up doing this taxi startup?
Well, it all come from about 3 years ago. We started a company giving drivers the opportunity to get jobs in and out of London. So what we done was sitting there with an iPhone. The technology's there now to have it in the palm of your hand. So we thought, how can we now stop minicabs nicking all the work going in and out, and how can we get black taxi drivers doing it? So what we done, we offered discounts and you could name your own price and stuff like that. So that's how it all started originally.
So this was the return journey. So you've been working a session in town and you were going home and you wanted to have a fare to get people that were going in the same direction that you were to finish off.
Yeah,
that was the idea.
Yeah, so I live in Church. I go home every day for nothing. So I thought to myself, well, what are we going for 50% of the meter price? The only thing is you need... One was we had the technology, which weren't brilliant, but the main thing is marketing. If you ain't got the money to I can let you know you can go in for a £10, but if you don't know about it, then you're not booking. So so that's how it all started anyway.
All in a coffee shop in Covent Garden. So we used to meet every day.
Right.
Terry's not here, but Terry's the third member of Hailo, the taxi driver side of things.
Yeah.
And it was a problem. We knew there was a transport problem that, as I say, as Gary said, I would go out, I live in Kent, so I'll be going home and I get to a set of traffic lights, I see some lone female in the back of a car, like a minicab, so to speak, and really, she's looking frightened. I would say to myself, she should actually be in my cab. And so when you've done the maths, every year cab drivers, if you work on a 48-week year, 15 mile, the average cab driver living 15 mile out of London. You're looking at 7,200 dead mileage of just going in and out of London. Right. So that's where we got this sort of web-based idea called Taxi Light.
Okay.
And Gary picked up a guy from, you want to tell him about the guy from Boysdale, James?
Well, I picked up something. If I'm in a taxi, I will find out who you are, how many kids you got, what business you work in, within a minute.
We've had that experience.
You've had that experience.
It's not only you.
It's not me. It's cab drivers. We can find out what we like. So to be honest, cab driving is the best networking place in the world. You get because you get all professionals using taxis all the time. So you used to get a lot of contacts and stuff like that. But we were just about to get an investment from someone. I won't name his name, but he had the idea, and on the same day we got a phone call to meet up with 3 entrepreneurs who wanted to get involved in the taxi industry. Okay. So then all of a sudden we went from we're going to carry on the taxi light route, and then Russ can tell you about our meeting with the other 3.
So me, Gary and Terry are co-founders, and the other co-founders are Jay Bregman, who is the CEO of eCourier. Also Casper Woolley, who worked alongside Jay, and a friend called Ron Zieghiver. And it was straight away, it seemed to be a perfect marriage, because we had the idea of what we wanted, and they had the expertise, i.e. the tech side, and the links, especially the VC sort of links that we needed to get to get Hailo. It wasn't called Hailo then, we just didn't have a name for it. Right. And so subsequently that was November 10. So all through November 10, we was having constant meetings in an office in central London, and we finalised exactly what we wanted, and it was started. And then we picked the name Hailo.
So just taking a kind of step back, when you came up with the original idea, would you kind of classify yourselves as kind of geeks? Are you into technology, or did you just come up with an idea but not kind of know how to solve the problem?
I think it goes along the line with, I must have had an iPhone for about 3 months. So it went from using computers, you could always use computers and stuff like that, but when you got the iPhone just gives you so many ideas of what to do. So I think just then I started getting tech-minded sort of thing, yeah.
So you used a few apps and then you thought, actually, this is the kind of...
You use some apps and then you think, well, how can I use this technology? And then your brain starts ticking. When you're a cab driver, you're driving... It started 3 years ago. It weren't the best of times in the cab industry.
Right.
There's times when you can drive around for an hour. So you're driving around and your brain then it just goes off and starts thinking about other stuff. And that's when the ideas start coming up, yeah.
Once you kind of got the idea and you thought this has got potential, how'd you get the word out? How'd you get people using it?
So first, sorry, Gal. So first thing was we had a database of drivers from our previous venture,
right,
which was Taxi Light. So those guys sort of virtually automatically come over. They was already looking at the web, looking at jobs on the web. So we just we actually spoke to 1,000 of myself personally,
right,
over a 6-week period in the summer.
We phoned every single one up.
And we just explained the whole concept of what we was building.
Yeah.
You know, if you haven't got a smartphone, get yourself prepared. This is going to happen.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, so we've had 1,000 already. You know, drivers ready to.
Fantastic.
You know, we thought we was pretty good with 260. I mean, we got really excited with 260.
How many
drivers.
black cabs are there in London?
There's 23,000.
Right. Okay.
And now, as we speak, we've got a membership of over 4,000.
Wow.
Brilliant.
That's impressive.
But if you go back to the Taxi Light days, it used to be hard graft. We'd go down and put out leaflets, you know, like posters, stuff like that every day. They get ripped down, put them back up there, and drivers seem to take with the idea of the empty mileage, you know.
Right.
You're getting something, do it for a discount because you're getting it for nothing anyway.
Yeah.
So they sort of jumped on board then anyways.
You talked about kind of being built by cabbies for cabbies. So you've got these 40 people working for you now. Is it you guys that feed the ideas and they just go off and build it, you know, or is it a collaborative thing? Have you guys pretty much spec'd the whole thing from scratch?
We've probably spec'd it within the first 2 months when we started, but it's growing all the time. We're now looking into fixed pricing and stuff like that, going back to the old Taxi Light days of getting a bit of a discount if you're going to the airport and stuff like that. So we have to sit down, work it out. These things ain't easy, and it's alright. So we can say we want this, but we've got the best guys in the world. You tell them what you want, and it gets done.
Yeah. Because we met one of the developers, didn't we?
Yeah, well, he's a product guy, a friend of mine who used to live in Bristol called Joav, and when you know, so he told me about it ages ago, and I never used it, and then we started using it. It was
maybe that's how we discovered it.
Yeah, got to get him on the show, so I asked Joav to ask somebody, and that's how we got introduced. So yeah, I think you're right. You have got the best product guys around. Well, just the execution is fantastic. But there are other apps out there. So you know, there are competing apps. So I've heard of Get Taxi, is Tweet London Cab, now called TLC or whatever. You know, is it sustainable? Will there just be one, do you think, eventually? It seems like you're way ahead and that you're leading the pack, but there are other ones there as well. You know, are there going to be lots of different ones? And will cabbies sort of switch between apps to try and find jobs, like in a, you know, just sort of switch around and see if there's something available? How does it work?
There was a technology boom in the cab industry, as you mentioned. TLC, I mean, we had Taxi Light before TLC. Then there was obviously Get Taxi have come along, and there was a few others as well. I think London Taxi app.
Yeah.
So there was all these guys, but our problem is that we just didn't want to launch it until we had the army,
right?
Because we knew if we put our head above the parapet, then we'll obviously have to service. Because obviously it's no good us telling you that we've got a service and you can't get a cab because you're only going to take. I mean, Hailo is great. It's 2 taps.
Yeah.
And you've got a cab.
Yeah.
So we don't want 2 taps and you don't get a cab because you think, well, I'm not going to use that again. I'm going to use something else.
Yeah.
And go back to a private hire company.
Yeah.
So as we've progressed and as we've built, obviously, our driver membership, there are drivers that are on other networks as well, and obviously on other apps.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of them now seeing Hailo is the leader. I mean, just to talk about the app itself, I mean, your app that you use for Hailo is completely different from the driver app.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'll just give you a little brief. I'm just going to zip to the app itself. This is the driver app. So this is what the drivers see, okay? And so the drivers can interact in a vast number of ways. You can actually do a credit card. So straight away, let me just go on shift. Just put my badge number in, just go on shift. So every driver, by the way, that's registered is TfL approved. So now I'm actually in the app. I can actually put in the pickup location, the drop-off destination, press next, and then it will formulate a credit card transaction.
Right.
At the moment, this is live. Okay, drivers have actually input these these bursts, there's another one just popped in. Bursts are something where if there's a lot of people at a certain train station, for instance here at the moment we've got Essex Street. If I just click on that, it will show you that Essex Street, Westminster, reported 60 seconds ago by a cab driver down here, and you actually can just click on that and it'll take you straight to the event of actually where the burst is.
So this is nothing about people with the app installed, this is just them passing information back through the network. This is all driver to driver information. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, so what we tried to build was something that when the drivers are not getting jobs,
they can still pick up fares.
It's still useful anyway. And if you imagine that burst, if we keep that in a black cab, then they'll keep using black cabs.
Of course they will.
Because if they're not getting picked up, then they'll go back to private hire, and then we lose them. So it's all about keeping the system.
So basically, if I'm driving along the embankment, I know there's work there, but if I pull the app in a little bit further, let me just go back, and let me just go back again and go into the map itself, then it will geolocate to where I am. It is very much at every time in the studio, and I can just pull that out, and it can show me the work around me.
These are all bursts that have been put in.
Bursts, and these are ranks as well. So if I go to that green rank there, it's bringing up Tudor Street, cabs needed on Tudor Street. So there's probably people there. So when I arrive, the driver itself can update. So when I pull it around, I can actually see, and all the red ones as well, they are, information, traffic information. 10-minute delay southbound on Southwark Bridge. You touch that, you can actually see the driver, right name, but you can see him there and actually click on that, and it will zoom straight in.
But you don't get any money from that.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
It's all about getting people to adopt Hailo as a tool in order to get the jobs.
Actually, we do earn money from it because if we give out traffic alert and that driver gets the customer there quicker, he's then actually got a job quicker and then it keeps it rolling. So the more money's going around, the more money. So it's all about customer service.
Okay, so what's next then? World domination? You see this really going like in every major city around the world. You could have Hailo apps installed in both drivers and consumer side, and it might be adapted to that sort of thing, those sorts of business model things, but you see that as an expansion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're out in New York at the moment, having meetings out there with the Taxi and the Limousine Commission, which are going really, really well. Chicago, I mean, we've already mentioned Dublin, seems to be attracting the drivers, and we don't see it, right from the East Coast to the West Coast, San Francisco, wherever passengers need a taxi.
And I guess you're getting to that point now where it's not so much you selling to the drivers, there's such a passenger population that want to use Hailo to get a cab, they're kind of going to have to be on Hailo, right, to get those jobs. So it's kind of tipping now, I guess. You're getting to that point where it's big enough to attract drivers without you doing that heavy push.
So it's most definitely the customers are attracting the drivers, but what you've got to remember is I think Hailo customers, if they're out on the street, apart from yourself who said you want to use the credit card, they still use it. But remember, most Hailo customers at the moment are ex-black cab users, and now they're coming back to the trade. So they're now starting to use us again. So if they can't get a Hailo cab, they'll get a cab off the street. So that's the good thing. So even when they're not doing a Hailo job, we're bringing work back into the black cab trade. That's the main thing.
And they know that.
That's exactly,
So a big thank you to Russ and Gary for coming in. I mean, their story really is like a Hollywood script, isn't it? It's like 3 cabbies in a cafe to $17 million in like a year and a half.
Yeah,
just amazing.
We should send the screenplay to Tarantino. I think he'd be a good guy.
We should write that film for them. There's another career there. So another quick shout out to all of our syndication partners. A big thank you for the support you're giving to the show. So that's Bath Digital Blog, Digital Ministry, and the Application Developers Alliance. So thanks, guys. And if anyone else wants free content, then give us a shout. We might have another deal up our sleeves as well, so we'll keep you posted on that one.
And a big thanks to Ewan at Mobile Industry Review. So he's given us a shout out this week, which has been very useful.
Yeah, thanks, Ewan.
And if you haven't had a look at Mobile Industry Review, you should go to mobileindustry.review.com. Lots of kind of insightful analysis into the real world that is telco.
He doesn't hold back on his opinion.
No,
that's why we love him.
We need to get him on the show.
We do actually
for a rant.
Yeah. The video is also now available on iTunes. So up until now, we've just used iTunes for the audio podcast. But from this point onwards, each episode will have 2 files. You'll get the video and the audio.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will help get the show out there a little bit more as well.
Yeah, and the main channel for the shortened video is our YouTube channel at HashBangTV.
Yep.
And you've spotted a common theme over the last few interviews.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously what we're trying to do is kind of bring you the really interesting movers and shakers in the kind of tech community in the UK. And actually a theme I picked up on, which I only realised when we were going through the edits, was 3 of the last 4 guests have all been hiring. So watch the show if you're trying to break into the tech community, or even if you're in the tech community and you want to change jobs, change companies, get a fresh challenge. So there's yet another reason to watch this amazing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the companies that we interview tend to be going through that growth phase. That's how we find out about them. Obviously, they're sort of started to go a bit viral and people are talking about them, so they say, why don't you speak to them? And so often hand in hand with that, they're looking for people to, expand the team for. So
yeah, totally. So, if you've got friends that are looking to break into tech or looking for jobs, tell them about the show, get them watching it, and I'm sure there'll be many more companies that are hiring.
Good stuff. So, episode 9 of HashBang.TV.
Yep.
In the can?
Yep.
In the can.
Till next time.
Bye.